You're going to hear me talk about this word influence a lot because at the end of the day, if I present or if I speak and nobody does anything as a result of it, what have I done?
I would probably be understating it a bit if I say I'm excited to have Rene here. I'm extremely excited to have Rene here.
19 years ago, my mother introduced me to something that would forever change my life. She had me look around a room and she said, Rene, I want to ask you one question. What do they all have in common? She made it very simple. She said, Rene, every single person in this room has a brain. If you understand how this brain works, life becomes easy.
I was kind of on a hunt for someone that talks about how we think as leaders. And I was coming up empty.
At the end of the day, and I want you to hear this, my job as a leader is not just to move your heart, but it's to move your feet. It's not just your heart. I've got to inspire those feet to move somewhere, to do something, to engage in something.
I don't know anyone better or who's more well-researched than Rene when it comes to influence and persuasion and the science of how the brain works.
One of the things we know is that it's important that when you come to sessions like this, that you take something back with you that you can implement. Going to a seminar, going to an event like this with nothing actionable is really meaningless.
Rene really helps us translate a good story with a solid foundation into something that gets to the hearts of people and most people to action. And that is priceless.
Let me just check. How many of you are for-profit businesses? Oh, all of you? Okay, good. Okay. What I mean by that is that we have to monetize the learnings that we have. That's what implementation is. You take something and can I take it to sell something else? It's not just to feel good. Feeling good in the process is great, but can I use it from a business perspective? And that's what today has been designed for.
The first time I was going to come and see Rene, I thought, okay, they're bringing in some inspirational speaker. This is going to be a rah, rah, rah. Hope I have my phone so I can check my emails. 10 minutes in, I was hooked, and time flew by, and 3 hours later, I was so inspired. I knew that my life had changed.
That man cares as much or more as anyone that I've ever met, and he'll give you everything he can to make sure that you and your business or you in your personal life are successful.
You're going to hear me talk about this word influence a lot because at the end of the day, if I present or if I speak and nobody does anything as a result of it, what have I done? If no mind has been shifted, if no decision has been made, if nothing's happened, have I influenced behavior or was I just speaking? Yeah, I was comfortable, but no change happened. For all the leaders and the managers in here, there's only one how of leadership. We talk about leadership. Leadership isn't about quotes. It's not about an inspirational story. Leadership is about influencing behavior. The quotes and the stories are all means by which we achieve the influence. But at the end of the day, people have to change.
I think the difference with Rene is that he comes up on stage and he gives you a moment to not only motivate you and inspire you, but he gives you actionable steps that changes your behavior the next day.
I've been selling for over 40 years. And I've been to Jim Rohn, I've been to Zig Ziglar, I've been to Tony Robbins. But the way that Rene packages things, it's refreshing, it's new, it's exciting.
He laid it out just perfectly. Rene is by far the best speaker that I've seen throughout the 14 years I've been in the business. Lights out as far as that goes.
We need connection before we can listen to ideas. What I'm saying is understand who we are. And if we're dealing with other people, understand how they are. And if you're dealing with a room full of people that need to listen to your message, don't get mad at them if they're not listening. Get better at communicating. That fundamental shift just changes everything. What if teachers had that perspective? How many of us grew up with a teacher saying, you need to listen more? Doesn't matter if I'm boring. But what if the teacher said, you know what, they're asleep? I gotta get better at this. I gotta be a little bit more exciting. How many of us watch the movies where teachers get it and they're up there jumping on the table and they're walking and talking to the students, you're just like, you're crying, it's like, man, I wish my teachers would have done that and I hope my teachers for my kids do that. Well, we're the teachers right now. We're the ones that get the chance to do that. And it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much. All of us here have something in common as well. We all have the desire to communicate ideas, to be heard, and to have some level of significance when we communicate that idea, because there's nothing more painful than having something and nobody listening. It's a feeling of almost being ostracized. It's almost a feeling of nobody cares. It's a feeling of saying, I don't really matter. And that feeling of mattering is such an important thing to all of us. And so when we look at that, I look at the purpose behind this, is learning how to communicate. It's not just selling, it's not just presentation, it's not just public speaking. It's about how do I make a difference in this world? How do I leave my mark? I know that every single one of you has a story. Every adverse moment we've been through, everything that we've overcome, everything that we've gone through is a currency to us if we know how to use it in the future to tell that story, to inspire a group, to build and find that strength in us to remind us that we're going to be okay, that we've done this before. We've seen movies where people are in struggle and they're waiting for the cavalry to arrive. They're waiting for people to come and save them. But I've got news for you. In most of our life, the cavalry will not arrive to come and save you. But I've got better news. They're not coming because the cavalry is already here. The cavalry is you. So my challenge to each and every one of you is to go out there and look at how are your meetings? How are your communications? Where could they get better? Where's my audience? Could I do something to frame this up? What's my own personal story? Why am I even doing this? To explore all of those elements and to share it in the way that the brain works. But here's the thing that I want to leave you with. Because when you do this right, when you do this in a way that truly moves people, you speak first from your heart. But you speak from your heart in sequence. Sometimes our heart speaks out of sequence. You ever told somebody you love them too soon? You're like, I love you. Oh. Or maybe you took too long to say that I love you. Sequence matters. But when you get your heart to speak in sequence of how the brain works, it truly isn't anything you guys can't do.